Hey guys, welcome back to Remote Learning. Look, it does suck that we're back here, but hopefully this will all be done in a week. Alright, so this lesson will be about scientific notation, and by the end of this lesson we should know what scientific notation is, be able to convert from scientific notation to decimal form, and go the other way, be able to convert from decimal form to scientific notation. So just pause the video here and take a couple of minutes to write these down. Alright, let's start off by thinking about the distance from the Earth to the Sun. If we measure this in kilometers, we will get a number very big like this one here. And let's also think about the size of a virus, or maybe coronavirus. And it is said that the size of a virus is somewhere around that small there. So on the left we have a very big number, and on the right we have a very small number. And when using these numbers for calculations, it just isn't really practical to put these numbers into our calculators or our working out every single time. So to solve this problem, we've got something called scientific notation, and it is just a shorthand form of writing very small or very large numbers. Don't worry about writing this definition down, just as long as you understand what's going on here. Alright, let's have a go at exploring this a little bit further. Alright, so on the left here, I've got the number, and on the right, I'm going to have the scientific notation. So our first number here is 2,350,000. So I'm going to start by putting a decimal point right between the 2 and the 3 there. Once you've done that, let's write the first three numbers down there, just 2.35. And now let's have a go counting the numbers behind the decimal point. There is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers. So I can rewrite this number in scientific notation as 2.35 times 10 to the power of 6. Once you've done that, just put that into your calculator just to double check your answer, and it should give you the original number. So let's have a go at doing that here. 2.35 times 10 to the power of 6. And there we go, we've got the original number again. Alright, let's try the next number as well. We have 502,170. I'm going to start by putting a decimal point between, just right behind the 5 there. And once again, I'm just going to write down the first three numbers, 5.02. Now I'm going to count the number of numbers behind the decimal point. There's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 this time. So I can rewrite this number as 5.02 times 10 to the power of 5. Alright, so that's a really big number. Let's have a go at small numbers now. So my first number here is 0.000298. And for really small numbers, I'm going to look at the first three numbers right after the 0. So that's these three over here. So it's going to be 2.98. I'm just putting a decimal point right between the 2 and the 9. And this time I'm going to count how many numbers are behind, so to the left of the decimal point. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, and not including that one, so just 4 there. So if I put on the calculator 2.98 divided by 10 to the power of 4, that should give me this again. But we never write scientific notation in division, so let's rewrite that as 2.98 divided by 10 to the power of 4. And if you remember from negative indices, that's the same as writing 2.98 times 10 to the power of negative 4. So this last part here would be our answer for the scientific notation for this particular number there. Alright, so for this next one, let's try and take a bit of a shortcut. Alright, I'm going to look at the first three numbers again, right after the 0. So right after the 0 there, so that's going to be 4, 6, and 2. So once again, I'm going to put a decimal point right in between the first two numbers, so that's a 4 and a 6, and let's write that down, 4.62. Alright, I'm going to jump straight to this part here, because now we understand why it becomes a power of negative. That's going to be times 10 to the power of something. And once again, this step we're going to count the numbers in front of the decimal point. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once again, not including that one. That's going to be 6 there. But remember, we're going to the left, so that's a division, so that needs to be a negative there. So your answer will be 4.62 times 10 to the power of negative 6. Alright, and also just remember to check your answer with a calculator. Let's double check that. So let's put in 4.62 times 10 to the power of negative 6. And there we go, we've got the original number. Let's just double check the 0. That's 2, 4, 5 here, and 2, 4, 5 there. Perfect. Alright, so the general form of scientific notation is large numbers are written in the form a times 10 to the power of a positive number, and small numbers are written in the form a times 10 to the power of a negative number. Alright, so let's have a go at converting these numbers into a basic numeral. So when we have times 10 to the power 5, all we're doing is moving the decimal point to the right 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So your answer here would be 5016. So that's 3 decimal points moved, and then add another 2 zeros for the remaining 2. So your final answer should be that there, which would be 501,600. And this next one, we're going the other way. It's got a negative up here. So if it's got a negative, we're just moving the decimal point to the left instead of the right. Alright, so if I move the decimal point to the left of once, it's going to give me 3, 2. And then I'll move it another 6 spaces. So it'll give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we'll just put a decimal point right there. So that should be your answer. Let's double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's where it originally was. So we know that we are correct here. And you can also use your calculator to double check that as well. Alright, pause the video here. Have I got these ones down at the bottom, and just unpause it when you're ready to go through them with me. Alright, so this first one is times 10 to the power 4. So just moving the decimal point 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. So it gives me 2. That's 1 space, 2 space, 3 space, and 4 spaces there. So your answer should be 20,480. Alright, and this next one I got 4.7 times 10 to the power of negative 5. So I'm moving the decimal point to the left. So that's 1 space there, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And just put a decimal point there. So that should be your final answer. Alright, now we're going the other way. We're writing these numbers in scientific notation to 3 decimal places. Alright, I'm going to change the question. Let's change it to 2 decimal places actually. Alright, so our first step, remember, is to put a decimal point in between the first 2 numbers there. So it'll be 5.2. I'm going to rewrite this number down again to 2 decimal places like it says in the question. That's 1 and 2 decimal places. Now I'm going to multiply it by a factor of 10 and then count it. Count how many numbers are behind the decimal place. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to be 5.21 times 10 to the power of 6. And next one, going the other way. Once again, I'm going to look at the first 3 numbers right after the decimal point. So that'll be 4.20. That's 2 decimal places there. If it was 3 decimal places, you would just have 4.203. But since we're only concerned with 2 for now, we'll just rub that out. Alright, I'm going to put a decimal point again right in between the 4 and the 2 there. And just count how many numbers are behind there. I have a total of 1, 2, 3 numbers. So it'll be times 10 to the power of negative 3. Remember, if you have any questions, just ask me again in the Google Meet. Otherwise, you can pause the video here and have a go at these ones below there. Alright, so once you've done them, you can go through them with me. So let's start with the one on the left here. We have 7,937,200. Once again, I'm going to put a decimal point right between the 7 and the 9, the first 2 numbers, and let's write it down to 2 decimal places. So I'll have 7.9, let's round this, that'll become 4. Alright, once you've done that, write times 10, and then we're going to count the number of numbers behind the decimal point. So that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 again. So it's going to be 7.94 times 10 to the power of 6. Alright, last one here. Once again, just put a decimal point in between the 2 and the 7. Let's write it to 2 decimal places. So that'll be 2.71. And then count how many numbers are in front of the decimal point there. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. So it'll be 10 to the power of negative 4. Alright, so that brings us to the end of this video. Hopefully by now we know what scientific notation is, can convert from scientific notation to decimal form, and can go the other way as well. Alright, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys all back online.